Hello, there's Buck right here. Like, okay, seriously. All right, so I'm going to be talking about Unitarian Universalist Conclavist Christianity, which is a mouthful. I just call it UC squared, because it has two U's and two C's. And now we're going to go over the things that, I guess, prompted that. So, the church that I'm rediscovering my faith at currently is Unitarian Universalist. So then I went to Wikipedia, as one does, to read up on Unitarian Universalism. Found out that there's Unitarianism, which had the Unitarians from the past. They're a very severe form of Christian. Very they're by the rules and so on and so forth. Similar to what's their name? The Calvinists. Similar to the Calvinists, but not Protestant. Institutes of Christian Theology. Yep. So similar to the Calvinist in their interpretation, like the severity of their interpretation of the canon. That's the Unitarians and the Calvinists. All right, I'm going to be doing a diagram throughout this. This is my notes all over the place as usual with like a drawing thing. That square thing in this corner is going to be used to talk about the four worlds. I'm not going to do the whole tree of life thing because that's copyright blocked. But I'm going to explain it so that people understand why I had the conception that I had of the Lord throughout all this time. Because technically I've just been Christian this entire time. It's just a very strange variation. There's also a thing called esoteric Christianity, which I'll probably cover in this video as well. Alright.
Emergency pizza when you order Domino's online. Here you go. Thank you. Alright. Dinner's ready. That moment you walk in the office.
Yeah, there's a channel called The Esoteric Cross that's also on YouTube. They're excellent. They talk about a lot of this as well, and they're also Christian. It isn't that uncommon for people to come to a lot of detailed conclusions about the nature of their own relationship to God if they take the time to study. You can be vocal about that. It encourages people to believe. I know, because I didn't want to argue with my family about it either, which is why I'm making this video. We're black and from the South, so I don't know if they're going to even hear about this until months from now. That's the part that I love about being a YouTuber. Here we go. Alright. So, Unitarians, and I'm going to pull this up on Wikipedia. I'll start with Unitarian Universalism, and then I'll just work my way back to Unitarians. Just one click on the blue thing.
At Walden University, we aim higher.
They don't necessarily endorse the Nicene Creed. You get to choose whether or not you endorse the Nicene Creed as it stands. But the way, it's because of the only begotten Son thing, which is the point that's made in the argument. But the way that that's being endorsed is not the way that people think. So I'm going to go through this part first, and then I'm going to go back to the section on, this will be a visual representation of, God in the most abstract way. I'm not going to draw, buildings or what I think heaven looks like or any of that. I'm literally just going to talk about the nature of my belief and what that means for me as the way that deal works, and why that's relevant to the study of Greek mythology or the study of things in other faiths and cultures, because God is omnipotent and omnipresent, which means at no point then in time or anything that could be feasibly done, could God not be there? How old is the earth? You know, like that's what I mean. There's a point where there wasn't even people on this, and yet we feel that we get to decide which children are and aren't God's, which seems like a reach to me, but we're going to go through it by the actual written stuff by other people, because people will be like, so you think you know that? No, I don't. But based on me not knowing, and no one from my life as a Christian being able to answer, I think the way that I'm searching is okay. And you still get rained on when the clouds go over and you have to stand at the bus stop. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't give you power over that sort of thing. People really be buying into the illusion. Truthfully, it just changes the nature of how you believe and how you carry it into your life. And that's enough for me. I don't have to have no magical powers. That's a magical power. Being able to recognize that someone has value when other people wouldn't. Done. Unitarian Universalists assert no creed, but instead are unified by their shared search for spiritual growth. Congregations include many atheists, agnostics, deists, and theists. There are churches, fellowships, congregations, and societies around the world. So that's Unitarian Universalism. Their version of a mission isn't to convert people. It's to include people. To let them know that there is an option where their beliefs and their, the way that they go through life is recognized, and that can still be brought into a church and given the legitimacy that comes with that, which doesn't kill people or cause them to be ostracized or anything. It just gets more people the help from a body of faith, which I deeply agree with. And so the entire thing where they're like, they've been allowed too much stuff in there. Of course they are. Because then the people who like those things can come to our church. And the people who don't want all that stuff allowed go to the other ones. We're having fun at our church. And we're doing something that is important, which is making space for people. Feminists included. Yep. So, haha. Now, you can also talk about women's lib outside at our church, and you can wear pants, and if you wanted to and you've done the proper theological amount of research, you could even preach. That's what I mean. It does matter. It's not some personal fight just for me. It's a fight that I'm included in. And there's no value to being who's in the most social fights. Because you know what that gives you? Anxiety and depression. Thank you. I have diagnosed that. I have anxiety and depression. So Unitarianism is a non-Trinitarian branch of Christianity. Unitarian Christians affirm the unitary nature of God as a singular and unique creator of the universe, believe that Jesus Christ was inspired by God in his moral teachings, and that he is the savior of humankind, but he is not equal to God himself. That's Unitarianism. They do have that belief, a version of that belief, in Unitarian Universalism, which is the source consciousness thing. And when people talk about that, they don't want to say that that the source consciousness is creating necessarily the punishments and the struggles that people go through and all of this stuff, because then it makes people feel responsible for their own pain, which is unfair. That's one of the reasons that people come to church. I personally was raised in the Southern Baptist church for a part of it, Methodist the other part, and I'm and this is where the conclavist Christian thing comes in. I'm there is an underworld. There's an underworld like in the human consciousness. Like there is an underworld that is there because there are consequences for the things that we hide, and that does make the space like even if it's just in our individual imagining, and that isn't being done by the full collective. It does make a space that's like that for people, a space where they go through grief, and a space where they experience that punishment. So like in my variation of this, that does exist, and you get access to the books, the Conclavist ones, yeah, on esoteric Christianity. Notary Arthur Solomon. Which does bring an air of severity to the UC squared one. I have one of the things is that I'm at 10:59 already. It's gonna have to be cut into 2 videos. But one of the things that while I'm going through and looking at ChatGPT, and they have this thing called Grimoire. I'm writing this book called Ars Dialgum that is going to be about my journey with Christianity and just the different practices. As a person who studies I don't know what people call that, like the magical practice or the metaphysical study, as a person who does that, and it's going to be about my journey with Christianity as it stands right now, and probably by the time I finish it, probably don't take me 3 months or something like that. I talk about this sort of thing all the time. Alcoholic metaphysical Christian experience. Yes. So Ars Dialgum, that is the book that is about the real one. That is about my real metaphysical Christian experience. Magic Geology Institute of the Cornerstone is a science fiction fantasy book that I'm writing that has characters and a